fluoride benefits everybody in the community, regardless of their age or their socioeconomic status.
Everybody seems to think that fluoride is good for your teeth, okay? And it seems to be one of these magic bullet sort of scenarios that applies to everyone, and it does so evenly. But that flies in the face of science, because everyone does have individual responses.
In the 1930s, in the United States, I believe, scientists had noticed that people living in communities that had naturally occurring fluoride in their community water had a much lower incidence of dental decay. So after a certain amount of research, it became a public health measure to add fluoride to community water supplies to reduce the incidence of dental decay.
Well, if you do the research, it seems that people started already after World War II. And certainly in the 50s, this was all the rage in the United States, to do things that were part of public health. And fluoride started then. But it's also curious that Crest and Colgate, in 10-year separation or 10-year intervals, did the research and claimed that it was better for your teeth. I don't know what caused the very first person to advocate fluoride to be put into the water. Probably a lot of nonsense or non-science.
There are over 90 national and international health organizations that endorse the use of fluoride in community water sources.
Well, the main reason for fluoride in your public drinking water is for the protection and the creation of strong teeth. And everything the Department of Health in your water does is for basic public health. The fluoride is put in, like I say, to keep the enamel and development of the teeth. A lot of people, especially of the lower economic areas, don't have the opportunity to go to dentists as often as you could say people with better insurance or more money.
Fluoride works in a number of ways. What it does is it penetrates the enamel of the tooth, making it more resistant to acid attack and more resistant to decay. It's also, in the early stages of tooth development, is impregnated into the enamel, again making it more resistant to decay.
Fluoride inhibits enzymes that breed acid-producing oral bacteria, whose acid, in fact, eats away tooth enamel, the very thing fluoride was supposed to protect in the first place. In communities where water has been fluoridated, especially over time, over a period of probably about 20-25 years, there was a large increase in cases of fluorosis, especially in children, which is where your teeth are stained with these little white polka dots. And it's happened in at least 23 countries around the world where communities have had fluoridated water.
Too much fluoride can cause a mild condition called fluorosis of the enamel. It's very rare, and it's a mild aesthetic problem that can be treated by any dentist. You can overdose on pretty well anything. In the amount added to municipal water, which is 0.7 parts per million, it is virtually impossible to overdose on fluoride.
Now, how much fluoride or how much water would it take for me to
You'd have to be getting your fluoride from a number of different sources, supplements that you can buy at drugstores, as well as drinking fluoridated water.
During our research, we found that there's actually fluoride in chicken nuggets and like random stuff that you wouldn't expect it to be in. So how do you know that maybe somebody isn't getting 8 cups of water, but they're eating like a bunch of chicken nuggets?
The whole idea is this idea of water fluoridation is really quite redundant, because in processed foods we do find a lot of fluoride in it. So it's not just your chicken nuggets, it's your colas, your baby formulas, your bottled water. All of these contain fluoride already. So in addition to our diets, which unfortunately for the average North American does contain a lot of processed foods, to add fluoridated water to it is going to dramatically increase the amount of fluoride we take in, and it can cause serious harm.
all chemicals have an intrinsic toxicity. Some are more toxic than others.
No long-term effects. All the scientific research that's out there, all the credible scientific research that's out there, say there are no long-term effects or no health risks to adding fluoride to water when it's added in the appropriate amounts.
All your life you'd be taking in fluoride. And I mean, I don't know how many studies there are that have been done that show what kind of implications there are for a person's entire life. We haven't had fluoride in our water that long. So we need autopsies on people that have drank fluoridated water all their lives to make that decision. We don't have that right now. So in some ways, we have an irrational decision that's being made.
There were 3 kidney dialysis patients, and again, they were exposed to fluoridated water, and it ended up killing them. Their kidneys were weak, the fluoridated water didn't help, and as a result, they died.
How do you know it was directly related to the fluoridation of water?
A simple autopsy.
People with kidney problems, they say fluoride could affect them negatively.
I don't believe that's true.
Well, if you know you have problems with your kidneys, or just like being a diabetic, you know you got to take care of it. I mean, that's, you know, something with a guy with a bee, sting allergy. You got to carry your, your epinephrine pen with you. I mean, it's, I think death, is unfortunate, but for minimal reasons, it's amount, for what it does to the general population. Those people have to take care of themselves to a point.
If death is a minimal effect, sure, but I don't think death is so minimal.
I'm against fluoride on principle. I'm against fluoride because it takes away a citizen's right to have something. Once again, we already dealt with this. If people want to have fluoride, they can buy from Jansen's pharmacy, Shoppers. You can buy bottles of fluoride and add all the fluoride you want. You can have the fluoridation done at the dentist's as well, which seems to, by all accounts, be much better than adding fluoride to your water. But I can't. If our democratic process works this way, the majority of people don't do the research, and suddenly we now have municipal water supplies that are filled with fluoride. I shouldn't say filled with fluoride. That's like a debating thing, all right? It's not really scientifically true, but we've got some fluoride in the water. Now I have to come up with a way of getting that fluoride out of my water. And that's going to be several hundreds of dollars for me every year.
This point was stated yesterday to put like water droplets into a Brita filter so that the whole family could use it, as opposed to like contaminating the whole like ecosystem by putting it in the fluoride, or by putting it in the water in the lakes.
On this fact, do we all need fluoride? Do we all want to have fluoride? And is this sort of positive thing that the municipality is going to put in? Positive in that they have to do something, not positive in that it's good for you, but just that they're going to do something for everyone when not everybody wants it.
So if there's fluoride in your water and it's very difficult to take out, then you can't choose not to ingest the fluoride if you're concerned about its effects on your body, or if you find that you have a sensitivity to fluoride that most people don't, because it's more, different chemicals are more dangerous to different people.
It is frightfully difficult to take fluoride out of fluoridated water, right? You can't just use a Brita filter. It passes right through. So you have to have a reverse osmosis device, and I just checked. They're about $380, and then you have to also have some consumable that you're buying. So it's very difficult for me to take fluoride out of my water, right? But it's incredibly inexpensive to add fluoride. We've had situations where people come in and say that the amount of fluoride that we're going to add to the water is so cheap and divided amongst everyone in Thunder Bay that we would have a decline in the amount of dental work that has to be done, whatever that might be. However, the head of preventive dentistry at the University of Toronto, and his name is Hardy Limebeck, I believe, he comes out against this. He says it's not a very efficient way of spending our money, and if we happen to have extra money at the municipality, there are other things that we should spend that money on. Lines on the road so we have fewer accidents, car accidents and whatnot. Fluoridation in his mind, and remember, he's the head of preventive dentistry at U of T, he doesn't believe that that's a very good way of spending our money.
Do you think that there's a more effective way to get this done?
Well, currently I don't, because of the number of people that utilize municipal water for their water, especially the people of the lower socioeconomic, profile in our countries, that I think that's the cheapest and the easiest way to make sure somebody they're getting, you know, some benefits from the fluoridation.
Community water fluoridation is the most cost-effective way to prevent dental decay. For every dollar spent on water fluoridation, you save $38 in dental costs. Dental decay is the most common, one of the most common conditions in children, second only to the common cold, and is one of the leading causes of absences from school.
I know in the beginning when this debate started this last decade, that people look at the cost of fluoride. Well, that's not the issue. You still have to have someone who's going to be metering how much fluoride is going in, make sure that the instrumentation and the machinery that meters out the amount of fluoride is working. And you should have someone who's going to be 24/7 looking at this. I mean, there is automation and things like this, but nonetheless, you've got to man all that. So that's going to be 2 or 3 people that are going to have that job. And for that job creation, I'm all about that. That's not a difficulty. But the thing is, there is the amount of fluoride, where we're getting the fluoride from. There are people that say that the fluoride comes from a very unpalatable source, a source that could also have some impurities. And that's worrisome too. Even though I've got a small amount of fluoride going into the water, what other small amounts of other things are going into that?
The debate about fluoride should not be based on hysteria or opinion. People have to look to credible sources for information. You know, simply looking on the internet is, not good enough. If you look on the internet, you might find out that the Apollo moon landing was a hoax, or that Elvis is alive somewhere. You have to listen to the experts. You listen to Health Canada, the Centers for Disease Control, the World Health Organization, the Ontario Medical Association, the Canadian Medical Association, the list goes on and on. You have to rely on credible science and credible experts.
We have this problem that if you're an anti-fluoridation zealot, you could go out there and pick and choose the data that you want. I think it was easy for you guys to find data against fluoridation.
I thought that there was a lot of information out there that supported fluoride. Oh, it's going to help your teeth, it's going to help your gums. But it wasn't until I really started searching a lot deeper that I found some of these ideas, especially like those enzymes that in fact work against fluoride's original purpose.
More people that have concern with fluoride, I think they think more of it's an individual, let's say individual choice if they want it or not. But people that do have concerns, their concerns are usually emotional, personal, and it's okay to have concerns. It's okay to do research.
Who here feels comfortable drinking fluoride?